Welcome to Heart Bloom Story, where every story is told from the heart and touches the soul. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin today's heart-touching story. Red Heart. On a lonely stretch of road, a young woman stumbled barefoot, drenched and trembling. Her name was Lena, and every step she took was fueled by sheer desperation. Behind her, headlights glared through the storm, a black van crawling slowly, hauntingly. The man driving it wasn't a stranger. He was her tormentor, her ex-boyfriend, Kyle, who couldn't accept that she had left. For months, Lena had lived in fear, hiding behind doors and police reports that never seemed to matter. Tonight, she thought she could finally escape, but he had found her again. As the van's engine roared closer, Lena slipped, falling into the mud. The lights blinded her, and her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear the rain. She screamed, "Please don't hurt me." Her voice cracked through the storm, a sound of raw terror and broken hope. Then, out of nowhere, the roar of another engine pierced the night, deeper, heavier, and stronger. A motorcycle. The van skidded to a stop as a biker pulled up, his massive frame hidden beneath a leather jacket soaked in rain. His helmet's visor reflected the dim light as he parked between Lena and the van, his bike humming like a warning growl. Kyle stepped out, furious. "Back off, man. This is between me and her," he yelled. The biker said nothing. He slowly took off his helmet, revealing a calm yet cold expression, eyes sharp as steel. He looked at Lena, terrified, shivering, clutching her arm, then turned back to Kyle. "Doesn't look like she wants to be with you," he said quietly. Kyle took a step forward, but the biker didn't move. Instead, he unzipped his jacket and handed it to Lena. "Put this on," he said gently. She hesitated, confused. "I'm not here to hurt you," he added. "You're safe now." That one sentence, "you're safe now," broke something inside her. She clutched the jacket tightly around her shoulders, the weight of it grounding her as tears mixed with rain on her face. Kyle sneered, "You think you can just take her?" The biker stared back, voice steady. "No, I'm protecting her. That's what real men do." Lena didn't know where they were going, only that she felt safer on the back of that motorcycle than she ever had in her own home. The wind rushed past, washing away her tears as the biker took her far from that cursed road. After miles of silence, they stopped at a roadside diner, closed for the night but with a lit awning where they could wait out the storm. The biker parked, helped her off, and gave her his jacket again. She whispered, "Why are you helping me?" He shrugged. "You looked like you needed it." He introduced himself, Jake. Ex-soldier, mechanic by day, rider by night. A man who'd seen too much pain to ignore it again. As they sat there, Lena told him her story, the controlling relationship, the threats, the nights spent hiding. Jake listened without interruption. He didn't offer pity, he offered presence. Sometimes, that's all someone needs. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "You've been running too long," he said. "You need to stop running and start living." Lena looked down. "I don't even know who I am anymore." Jake looked at her, not with sympathy, but with belief. "You're still the woman who screamed for her life, and survived. That's who you are." His words hit her harder than any slap she'd ever taken. For the first time, someone saw her strength, not her scars. They stayed there until sunrise, the world painted gold again. Jake's jacket hung over her shoulders, and she realized something. For the first time in years, she wasn't afraid. Over the next few days, Jake helped Lena find her footing. He took her to a small biker's rest stop, a quiet place run by an old friend named Maria, who welcomed her without judgment. There, Lena slept, ate, and began to breathe again. Jake would check on her daily, fixing bikes in the nearby garage, sometimes sharing stories about the road, about freedom, loyalty, and redemption. Lena listened, fascinated. Each story carried a lesson, a glimpse of who Jake really was. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Lena found Jake tuning his motorcycle. She approached quietly and said, "I want to learn." He looked up, surprised. "To ride?" she said, smiling nervously. He grinned. "You sure? It's not easy." She nodded. "Neither is surviving." And so, he taught her, slowly, patiently. Each lesson wasn't just about balance or throttle, it was about taking control again. Every time she gripped the handlebars, she felt a piece of her confidence return. At night, they'd sit by the fire, talking about the past, the pain, and the road ahead. Jake never crossed the line. He respected her boundaries completely. That's what made her trust him even more. Weeks passed, and Lena began to laugh again. The woman who once cried in fear now smiled in the wind, riding alongside the man who refused to let darkness win. But peace never comes without a test. One afternoon, as they returned from a ride, they noticed a black van parked near Maria's diner. Lena froze. It was Kyle. He stepped out, his voice dripping with venom. "Thought you could hide forever, huh?" Jake moved in front of her. "You need to leave," he warned. But Kyle smirked. "Or what? You'll hit me." Jake didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than any threat. Then, something unexpected happened. The other bikers at the rest stop, men and women who'd heard Lena's story, came out too. One by one, they surrounded her, a wall of leather and loyalty. Kyle looked around, suddenly realizing he was outnumbered. The bravery in his eyes turned to panic. Jake took a step closer. "You've hurt her enough. You want a fight, you'll have to go through all of us." Kyle hesitated, then backed away. For once, the predator became the prey. Lena exhaled shakily, tears rolling down again, but this time, they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of release. Months later, Lena stood outside the diner, the same place she'd once sought shelter from the storm. But this time, she wasn't trembling. She wore Jake's old jacket, the one he had first given her that night. It was hers now, a symbol of strength, not protection. Jake walked up beside her, smiling softly. "You're heading out?" he asked. She nodded. "Yeah, time to start my own road." He nodded proudly. "Where to?" She shrugged. "Anywhere the wind takes me." Jake chuckled. "That's a good answer." There was a quiet pause before she looked at him and said, "You know, that night, when you took off your jacket, I thought you were just being kind. But I realized later, you were giving me more than warmth. You were giving me hope." Jake smiled, eyes glistening slightly. "Then it was worth it." She hugged him, a long, grateful embrace, and whispered, "Thank you for not hurting me when the world already did." He replied, "You don't thank people for being decent, Lena. You just pay it forward." She nodded, climbed onto her motorcycle, her own now, and started the engine. Jake watched as she rode off into the horizon, the same road that once brought her fear now carrying her freedom. And as she disappeared into the light, the words echoed in Jake's mind. "Please don't hurt me." But this time, those words had transformed into something powerful. They were no longer a plea for mercy. They were a promise that kindness, courage, and compassion could still exist, even in the roughest of souls.